Has seen that all too well this morning. Unfortunately, we go to him in University City. Damon, we see the umbrella, but behind you, it looks like a river.
You upstairs? You need help? We got someone who's up on the roof that's showing you just how bad this still is up there, stuck up there. I don't know if you can see it. We're going to flag somebody over here for you. Okay, we'll get somebody over here for you. It's really, I mean, just when you think this is over, it's getting a lot worse. The rain just picked up. We're going to get somebody over here for her because this street, if you can see, it's extremely bad. You see multiple cars flooded in this area. We've even got this high voltage building right here that's smoking. So we're going to go and try to find some help for this woman. We do have Ameren and other emergency services on scene, but I'm going to toss it back to you, Laura, because, again, the situation is so dire out here. It is not, we're not out of the woods yet. So I'll be back very, very shortly. I'm going to send it back to you.
Talk about perspective. And Claire, Mo, Kent, as we mentioned, this can be life or death. When you have people trying to escape their homes on their roofs, just imagine what they are going through this morning.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to hear Damon because obviously the rain is falling. He's trying to help somebody, which obviously is a priority. So that's what Damon is doing right now, helping that individual, that woman who was on the second floor of her home asking, hey, I need help out here. We're still working to learn. There's some sort of transformer issue there in University City, and we saw, Mo, a lot of the black smoke coming out of there.
Yeah, also we have to know that there's going to be some power outages. Who knows what type of, live wire situations you may see out there. And we're going to send you out to our Julia Avery. She's out in St. Louis County. And Julia, you've talked to someone who's had some trouble out there. Good times.
Yeah, Maurice, we're in the city of St. Louis, but we're right next to Maplewood. We're in the Ellendale neighborhood where the water came up so high that people started evacuating their homes. I'm actually with a family that had to do that right now. Right now, they are in a car wash just to have something over their head. They have the whole family here. They have their dogs here, dogs soaking wet, because they've been through so much this morning. At 4 a.m. they had to start getting out of their home. And we have Andrew Schaefer here, who, tell me how all of this started. You had to carry your children from your home?
Yes, the water, my neighbor said the water started shooting out of the storm sewer like a geyser, like 4, 5, 6 feet in the air. My daughter woke me up and said the water was coming in the basement. It was coming in like a waterfall. The water completely filled my 6.5, 7 foot deep basement in a matter of 15 minutes. We called the fire department. Fire department said they're on their way. They showed up. They sat at the end of the street. I carried all 3 of my dogs and my 3 kids and my wife out. And the fire department was told that there were kids still in the neighborhood, and they just said there's nothing we can do unless they're elderly. As they were backing out, I was carrying my last kid out. Still had to get my wife. And, this has happened before. About 7 years ago, the neighborhood flooded due to an MSD failure. So, and my neighbor's saying the water's going back up, and I still got neighbors trapped down there. So I need to get back down there and help them. I'm sorry.
And it's our understanding you've done a tour in Iraq, you've worked as a police officer into action, and you walked into what you said was neck-deep water.
Yeah, it was up to here. I had to stand on my tiptoes when I was carrying my oldest one out. It started to recede a little bit, but not much. You could only see the top of my SUV, my Explorer, about that much. And so there's dips throughout the neighborhood. So it was, I had to feel by hand the fences and knew where I was walking, but it was just by sheer luck and happenstance that we were able to get everybody out. But I had to make 7 trips with 3 dogs. I got 3 dogs out, 3 kids, and my wife. So.
And now you're saying that you've heard there's other people trapped, and you want to go back and get them as well.
Yeah, I mean they're my neighbors, and that's what you do. So if you don't mind, I'd like to get to it.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck. As they're recommending, don't even come outside. But for families like this, they did not have a choice this morning, and they were forced to evacuate their home. There are other places in this car wash where there are families sheltering underneath this awning just to stay dry and dry off after this crazy morning that they've had. Claire, Maurice, Kent.
A dangerous and desperate situation that people are dealing with right now. And you got to think at this point, St. Louis Fire and Rescue going to be a pretty busy morning trying to get folks rescued.
But that father, water up to his neck, like as a mom, I'm thinking, oh, he's carrying his children out. I mean, these are the situations, the very scary situations families are dealing with in our area. Right now, we want to check in with the meteorologist Leah Hill. Just about an hour or so ago, she was in the storm center with Kent. Now, Leah, along Interstate 70 at Cary, giving us an idea what the flash flooding looks like out there.
It's a mess. I've counted about 5 cars that are stranded on the side of the road, and 3 of them are in the water, and the water is nearly up to the roof of their car. I don't see any people outside of those cars, so it looks like they were able to get them out, which is good news, but it is stopped. You cannot drive 70 going eastbound towards downtown. As you approach Cary, it is just stopped. I mean, it is a parking lot there, and even on the westbound side, not much better. We are still seeing those cars basically at a standstill. I'm seeing people getting out of their cars and taking pictures, which in this kind of situation you don't want to do. I know that this is something we haven't seen in a while, this much rain and this flooding on the roadways, but I have seen some people getting out of their cars just to take pictures, and that can cause a whole other host of problems. So if you can, you just want to stay off this road. If you're going westbound or eastbound, you're really not going to be getting anywhere. It has just been a mess here. And thankfully, I haven't seen any other cars try to drive through that flooded road, and it looks like the westbound direction it's barely moving, but some cars are starting to get through. We're not seeing those flooded problems like we are on the eastbound side. Dangerous situation here. I'd recommend people just stay home until this passes and the water goes down.
Yeah, great advice out there, Leah. Thank you very much.
Coverage continues this afternoon from St. Peter's in St. Charles County. That's where our Caroline Hecker is on Main Street, Caroline, right near Interstate 70.
Claire, we shifted a little bit down near the Dardine Creek, near Lone Wolf Park. I want to show you the water behind me. Since 15 minutes or 20 minutes have passed, the water is actually rising. We were able to see the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit when we pulled up 15 minutes ago. It is now gone. I want to show you quickly what huge problem that has caused. There's a business down here. Initially, when we got here, water was just ponding. Now, all of this overflow from the road and, again, the Dardine Creek is now flowing into their business, and a lot of them are trying to figure out what to do. They were kind of scrambling to try to get rid of some of the machinery and things that were sitting down there. But earlier this morning, we were on the other end, near the Quick Trip on Main Street, near Mid Rivers Mall and 70. That is when we talked to some people from a local animal rescue that is located down that way, Stray Paws Rescue. They tell me, we just got an update from them, they had about 4 feet of water come into their shelter overnight as a result of this flooding. They weren't able to get in. They had fire crews that were able to get out by boat to their rescue earlier this morning. They tell me in all, 15 adult dogs were able to be rescued. They've been taken to a nearby vet to get checked out. They say everybody is doing well. Unfortunately, they tell me there were 10 puppies trapped in their crates inside that rescue that did not make it. Here's a little bit of what they had to say.
We woke up this morning seeing that this area was underwater, so we all tried to come out as quickly as we could. And we get here and we couldn't go in.
Now, they need a lot of donations, crates, foods, everything the water washed out they are going to need. They haven't been able to actually get back in the building, they tell me, to see what the damage is. They don't know if insurance is going to cover the damage, but they're going to need help with the animals. They do tell me that some of the dogs that were in runs were able to get up on top of crates and get out of the water. Some of the dogs that were in crates were not able to escape the water and were found either sitting or standing in that 3 or 4 feet of water earlier this morning. So they need all the help that they can get. Again, very tragic that those puppies did not survive. They say normally if they know a lot of rain is coming, they'll come and they'll bring the dogs out, try to find them foster homes for the night, Claire, but they just say this rain happened so fast and they were trying to get there early this morning, and of course we all know the roads were a mess and they just were not able to get there in time to help those puppies.
Yeah, all happening so quickly, just so heartbreaking all around. Caroline, thank you. We're talking about flooding in our area, the highways. That's been a big issue all morning long. This view right here is from Interstate 64 near Grand, and MoDOT workers out there trying to clear all the stuff away from the grates. The highway and all surrounding it basically became a pool. Drivers stuck or waiting away from their cars that got stalled and flooded. Now a look at this video. This one also from the city of St. Louis. A neighborhood this morning, just really like a lake in some cases. The water up almost to the top of the vehicles. This is right off McCausland and Southwest. Basically, as you cross from the city into Maplewood, people wading through that high water. That man right there in the blue hat, it's almost up to his shoulders at that point. We'd want to warn you, don't do something like that because you just never know how deep it is or what dangers might be beneath the surface that you simply can't see. Our team coverage at noon now moves to University City, where our Damon Arnold has been for us all morning long. He's live this afternoon with the latest from there. Damon?
Yeah, Claire, you know, we've been out here. We've witnessed all kinds of devastation this morning, and I heard that there was a fatality, and I can't tell you how much that hurts because, you know, it was a lot going on today, and I know a lot of people have been displaced, but we are at the apartments here. This is half their court apartments that were affected. A lot of people staying on the bottom level here. You can see this is the flood line where that water reached up to, showing you just how high that is. If I'm next to it, you can see that's at my shoulder, but I'm standing on higher ground, so if you come around and actually look inside, you can see that it got all the way up to where about my neck is. That's about at least, what, 5 feet, 5 inches tall. I mean, so much devastation this morning. We're told that people had to climb out or swim out of these windows. You can see this is peeled back because they pretty much kicked this out, showing you just how high, again, those waters got. We did speak with someone who lived here, who was at the shelter or waiting to be transported to a shelter, to explain to us what happened. Take a listen.
I heard some thunder early this morning. You know, didn't think much of it, went back to sleep, and then a couple hours later just heard some water coming in the apartment. Woke up and there was a couple feet in and it just kept going up. So what did you do? Wound up getting out had to actually go out one of the windows and go up to the second floor, neighbor on the second floor. Let me in, and fire department came by and said, hey, yeah, y'all stay put, because we got a lot of people to help right now.
We just witnessed some of the residents that have been coming back. They've entered this apartment here trying to see what's salvageable. Again, we found pictures in this area. We've seen shoes. We've seen cars. All of these things completely ruined. And again, it just goes to show you that people's lives have been changed. Yes, the traffic was terrible, but people are going to have to rebuild from this. And so it's something we're going to be staying on top of. Of course, bringing you any updates on air as well as online at Kmov.com. I'm reporting live in U City. Damon Arnold, News 4.
As we track the latest.
Holstein and Samantha Jones are on the desk, and they've got some new information. What's the latest?
Yeah, Steve, you've been talking about the Central West End. Let's head a little bit east of that. Our Caroline Hecker is in Midtown Forest. Caroline, you have quite the scene there with what's been picked up by these floodwaters.
As we've shifted a little bit west, we're at Delmar and Lake, just west of the Central West End, and you're right, there is a couch that has somehow appeared in the middle of the road behind us. You can see that black car, it's nose deep in the water. The gentleman standing by that white van, when he was standing closer to the street sign, it was about thigh deep. So you can see there's been trash cans that have been overturned. We did see one truck. I don't know if this Metro bus is going to try to make it here. We're probably going to get wet. So that gives you an idea, though, for a frame of reference, how deep the water is as this Metro bus drives through. Right here at Third Degree Glass Factory, the parking lot is underwater, but it has receded a little bit, I should say. But you can, again, see how much water is here. There's people still turning around down, heading westbound, or eastbound, I should say, on Delmar. But the water has been coming down slowly, but this is some of the highest water we have seen. We earlier were over at Vandevenner and Washington, closer to Slough, and we talked there with a daycare owner who had children inside, all safe, but she said water was starting to seep into one of her playrooms. Here's a little bit of our conversation.
We have some water in one side of the building, but it's not to the level where kids is threatened by it. You know, we have our maintenance guy and they're taking care of that. I don't know. We just got to wait and see what's going to happen. We're praying. I believe God. I pray with my babies every day, so I just know he's going to watch over us. So.
Now, right now on Del Mar going westbound, the fire department is blocking traffic, so cars are turning around. There are also flashing lights down at that, and you see this gentleman walking here. You can see how deep it is there, on about thigh deep. So this is really deep water. Again, following like what Steve said, Tuesday's rain, this is just making things far worse. This third-degree glass factory, the parking lot is flooded. I'm wondering if the inside of that building has got to be taking on water, because when you look at the sidewalk, you can see how deep that water is. But again, a lot of trash being turned up as a result of some trash cans being overturned. We've got debris obviously here in the middle of the road, so there will be an extensive cleanup process following this downpour this afternoon. But again, traffic is very slow moving in the city. There's a lot of cars, a lot of congestion, a lot of people trying to turn around, not trying to pass through some of this flood water. So if you're out, if you have to be out, just be careful, guys.
And as Caroline mentioned, today's rain coming on the heels of the historic rainfall on Tuesday and the flooding that followed. So many families still trying to clean up from that. In fact, today our Russell Kinsall has been with agencies trying to reach out and help those families cleaning up from Tuesday. He joins us now live with yet another round of help that will be needed. Russell.
Yeah, right now I'm at a shopping center that's on North Lindbergh and Washington in Florissant. It was hit really hard by flooding. Right behind me is a Walgreens that's been closed. We've been watching a restoration crew bring bag after bag after bag of ruined merchandise to fill up that dumpster right there. A little bit earlier, we met up with a team from the State Emergency Management Agency. They're going around assessing the damage to get together a full extent of just how much damage was caused by the flooding to pass along to the federal government in hopes of getting more help for flood victims through FEMA.
My heart just goes out to them because they have been devastated. They put everything they've had into these small businesses, and now they've lost everything. Now what the goal is hopefully to get them some help.
The Florissant Meadows Shopping Center was inundated with almost a foot of water on Tuesday. Every business in the shopping center was damaged and most are still closed. State officials and county officials have teams of people in the field to see and detail the types of damage and the extent of the damage. It'll be important to have a good estimate of the dollar amount of damage to help convince the White House to declare a presidential declaration and to help FEMA determine the types of financial assistance to provide. That could be grants, low-interest loans, or possibly reimbursement for the cost of cleanup and repairs.
So what will happen is if our residents are approved for financial assistance, FEMA will send in their teams. They will set up centers, assistance centers, and our residents who've suffered the damage will actually go to those centers, sit down with FEMA representatives, and fill out the application.
So if you've had a car, a house, or a business that had flood damage, you really need to call 211. That way that you'll be on the list for them to come out and see the extent of the damage there. Also, if you have other needs like clothing or a place to stay, then you'll be connected with a charitable organization that can reach out to you to provide some assistance. So call 211. They also have an 800 number that rings the same place. That's the United Way. It's 800-427-4626, or you can fill out a form online at 211helps.org. Live in Florissant, Russell Kinsall, News 4.
Russell, thank you. And in St. Charles County, teams out there determining how much damage has been done to homes, apartments, condos, and businesses in neighborhoods across the county. And that includes this area in St. Peters, where a levee breach poured water into homes and fields.
They're going to identify which neighborhoods are going to need personal assistance the most. And so that will be the next step for people needing assistance from the state and potentially from the federal governments.
And cleanup continues in University City tonight. Coming up on Monday, residents can sit bulky items by curbs for pickup. Plus, dumpsters will be out in neighborhoods and subdivisions that were severely impacted by flooding. Here is a sign, a good sign, draining at Forest Park Parkway. You can see the bubbles. That's a good sign that the water is being pulled by gravity into those drains, and hopefully it's going to be receding there so that traffic can get by. It's been stuck. People have been trying to exit off of Forest Park Parkway there. You see, maybe we're going to watch some cars try and get through. We'll see just how well that drainage there has been working. But Steve, this is something that we've been watching now for a while, that we've talked about, how the water receding and the fact that we're drying out a little bit as this storm system moves.
I don't think it's even raining in that picture.
Yeah, it's not raining at all.
So if you have loved ones or friends that are stuck on roads in St. Louis, at least, and most of the area, it's not because of additional rain happening now. It's because of lingering problems, and the drainage just hasn't kicked in yet.
You see that white car there trying to be the first one through that standing water, but that's not what we want to see.
No.
We can't see the pavement yet. We always say, turn around. You don't know how deep that water is, or if there's something below the water that you can't see, like a dip there.
Yeah, of course, now that they've gone, the guy behind them says, okay, now I know how deep it is.
There's a whole line behind him.
Yeah. And luckily he made it through and everything's, going to be fine. But the fire department in St. Louis that is exhausted from running from motorists in high rising waters to motorists in high rising waters, they would probably tell you, hey, can you just turn around and help us out here? We're slammed, we're busy. And they were really busy on Tuesday. This is different, too, than Tuesday, where we got hit by multiple cells over and over and over, call that training effect. This was just one line of storms. And we told you yesterday, look, there's going to be localized, isolated flooding. I mean, at the airport so far, it's 0.27. It might go up 0.3, a third of an inch. But then you go into the city, and there's 3 inches.
Thank you. Today's downpour, a compounding problem for those still cleaning up after Tuesday's record-setting rainfall. Showers this afternoon left parts of West St. Louis underwater. Caroline Hecker is live near Skinker and Olive tonight, an area that saw, Caroline, nearly 6 feet of water.
It did, Sam, and what a difference a couple of hours make. Look, we are standing in a bunch of muddy sludge where, like you said a couple of hours ago, this was 5, 6, maybe even 7 feet of water. This area, of course, damaged on Tuesday when this area saw similar floodwaters, but we did find today that today's flash flood gave a brand new meaning to neighbors helping neighbors. Is this Skinker or a river? The road transformed into raging waters Thursday afternoon, swallowing up unsuspecting drivers and flash floods.
Then it was 2 more people that they were submerged. Then they caught, like, the water was over the steering wheel. So me and another officer, I don't know where he went, but he helped us out or whatever, and we walked him out.
Michael Keeper and his uncle were cleaning out the family business damaged in Tuesday's flood when the rain started to fall.
And it started raining. We thought it was only going to be about 10, 15 minutes, and all of a sudden we got the downpour water that we got now, and people on this side and that side.
Nearby neighborhoods saw floodwaters creep up toward homes and stopped cars right in their tracks. Chris Jamison lives near Skinker and Horton and heard a woman yelling for help as the waters were rising.
The street was actually still pretty clean, relatively, so we didn't hit a whole lot of things, and basically just felt where the sidewalk was, got into the street, and went across, grabbed her and the kids, and came back.
Nearby, the self-proclaimed neighborhood roto-rooters were out with rakes and shovels, hoping to help the water recede.
We kind of thought that maybe the drains were clogged, so we just had the bright idea of like, hey, why don't we just go and see if we can unclog the drains.
On Delmar, flash floodwaters scattered debris, even a couch, into the road as drivers worked to get stranded cars to dry ground.
It was just hectic, and I never in my life saw this before, and I'm just asking God to do something.
Now here you can see one of the cars that was hidden under probably 7 or 8 feet of floodwater. There's another one in the other lane. And if you take a look at the wall, you can see that water line. So that gives you an idea of just how high the water was pretty much all afternoon. We were here at 6:30 and it was still high. So matter of a couple hours. Now you look at the ground. It's muddy. It's sludgy. Some cars are still driving through here, even though it's probably not recommended as they are coming up on the median to go around. But Sam, quite the difference over the course of the last couple of hours. And of course, people in this neighborhood continuing to clean up after yet another round of flash flooding.
An area we checked in live multiple times throughout the evening. Good to see that there's major progress that has been made there tonight. Caroline, thank you. Some businesses already suffering or dealing with another round of damage. On your left here, you can see floodwaters again seeped into the Little Bit Foundation headquarters in Brentwood this afternoon. On the right, that's video from Tuesday's flood that ruined school supplies for about 14,000 St. Louis kids. The building was also recently renovated. As people around the region deal with thousands of dollars in damage, News 4 is finally hearing from the people in charge of telling the federal government it's time to step in. News 4's Melanie Johnson reports near the river to Pear in South City tonight. Melanie, what did you learn?
You can still smell the stench from flooding here at the River de Pear. These cars behind me and this porta potty were underwater earlier today, stuck in time. This trouble spot is why this command center in front of me has been set up by the city to be hands-on as cleanup gets underway.
My house has never, ever, ever flooded. Never got water in it. This is the first time ever.
39 years, Margaret Shellard has lived next door to River de Pere, and for the second time this week, her street transformed into a sea of disaster. Cars and couches barely above water.
All my floors are ruined. Furniture's ruined. All appliances are ruined.
The river overflowing into the Arsenal Bridge Thursday afternoon.
The people that I've met and spoken with over the past several days have experienced loss that it can take your breath away.
News 4 learning from St. Louis Emergency Management that federal help is one step closer to becoming a reality.
Based upon what we surveyed today, along with the state agency, we feel pretty confident.
We need help now is why they need to respond.
This Richmond Heights homeowner.
Insurance doesn't cover this. And when you're retired, it's really, really hard.
Tired of waiting for relief after her basement and backyard were infiltrated by the rushing waters twice.
All this money we need to put into infrastructure. We really do, because that's where people are going to feel it the most.
There's no sewer system designed to handle this much rain.
So frustrating. It's bad. We're just waiting.
MSD is asking anyone with clogged drains to call their 24/7 customer service number. They were out here today with this command center, and they plan to have more substations along the hardest hit areas to help people in need in the next coming weeks. Melanie Johnson, News 4.
Thank you. The stretch of Maplewood and Brentwood the Deer Creek runs through is flood prone. This week, it's the site of disaster. News 4's David Amalotti is live off of Laclede Station Road. David, we're finally seeing the water recede.
Samantha, I'm standing right now with several inches of rain just hours ago, and as you mentioned, inundated all week long. Take a look behind me, though. I want to show you as the water has receded back into the creek. I want to give you a sense of the current still flowing here. We're going to zoom in on a tree that's fallen into the creek, and you can see the rushing water there creating waves around that branch. And then we're going to kind of pull out, pan a little bit more to our left. We want to show you all the debris that is collecting under this bridge of Laclede Station Road. And you're seeing not just tree debris, significant tree debris, but there's also metal, there's cardboard boxes, there's car parts. We're also seeing a large water jug wrapped around one of the pillars further down. I talked with some people very familiar with this area who say they've seen this area flood, but nothing like this.
I was really shocked. I didn't think it would be flooded over here at all. That's actually why I came over here to go to the fabric store, because I just knew this area wasn't going to flood. I don't know why I just felt like it wasn't, but I felt like it wouldn't happen over here.
We want to give you some comparison, the difference 2 days makes. So here's drone video from Tuesday. You can see how rapid those waters are moving. Now we have some drone video from earlier today. You can see floodwater still impacting the area, not as rapid, but still enough to fill parts of the nearby parking lot.
Just had a tremendous amount of rain in a very short period of time, and it doesn't sound any different, but you can tell that it's just unrelenting, and the next thing you know, the creeks are overflowing and everything is flooding.
Now, we need the creeks to slow down. We need to get the debris out of the creek so crews can continue the Deer Creek mitigation project. It's $80 million that's going to try and rework how that water here pools with the creek and prevent flash flooding events like we're seeing today and, of course, earlier this week. Live in Maplewood, David Amalotti, News 4.
David, thank you. The city of St. Charles is steering residents toward help. The city is working to answer questions about flood insurance, filing claims, and what to do if you don't have insurance. There is grant money for low-income residents. You can apply for that online. We spoke with one resident who says this is her fifth and her final flood in her home.
After the first flood, it was a once-in-a-lifetime flood that was never going to happen again. And the second and third time, it was the city's going to come and do a lot of work on the creek and make it so much better. And they did. They did all the work, but it didn't fix the problem.
If you didn't get out to this open house, no problem. Head to the city website. There is a new landing page just for flood relief. We have that for you inside the Kmov News app. Residents at the Laclede Forest Apartments in Maplewood are stuck waiting on the road to be paved again. The asphalt was replaced after the creek nearby overflowed Tuesday. One resident tells News 4 he lost his car to Tuesday's flood, and today's heavy rain damaged his rental ride.
I live on the 3rd floor, so I'm okay there, but I feel for everybody that lives on the 1st floor. I mean, there's an old guy that lives on the corner over there, and I mean, it was an inch away from his door. Check what elevation you're at. If you're next to a big creek and it's got a low price, sometimes there's a reason for that.
New tonight, a state of emergency has been declared in East St. Louis, parts of which are still underwater tonight. This is what's left of Tuesday's flooding. People who live here tells News 4 today's rainfall did not cause additional flooding. Still, some homeowners are cleaning up and assessing damage.